GasCast, baby. We're back. We're back. And we're so happy to have our guest today, Terrance Copper, ECU great, played 10 years in the NFL. We're hyped, man. Terrance, how you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing well, man. How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Good.
Got ECU football on the mind.
Oh yeah.
So what's your takeaways from the game, man?
You know what, man? The crazy thing about that game is I never go against East Carolina. I never go against them. But I had us losing that game by 3 touchdowns. And the reason why is not because it's a bad team, but I had us losing just because we just played UCF. Well, UCF just played Georgia Tech, right? They played Georgia Tech a week before we played them. And they had a chance to get that first game jitter out. They had a chance to play a game, get used to the game speed, and also go back and watch film on things they need to correct after all this COVID stuff that's going on. So they had a chance to adapt, have to play a game, and those things like that. But we never had that opportunity. That was our first game playing against a nationally ranked team that, you know, we had time where we couldn't practice for a couple of weeks because of COVID, and just making the adjustment, guys getting used to the game speed. It was just a big adjustment for us. I just knew playing UCF the first game of the season after they already played their first game was not going to be a good look for us. Not saying we're not going to have a good team this year, but we wasn't ready to play them our first game. It was their second game.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you look at UCF. I mean, we got, Holton's pretty good. We got a great receiving core, but besides that, I mean, they're probably more talented than us on every part of the field. I mean, I love the Pirates, and plus, like you said, they got a game under their belt too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. It was fun to see the Pirates out there, but
yeah,
I'm worried about our line of scrimmage on both sides, dude. Especially defensive line. I mean, we had 2 quarterback hurries the entire game.
Yeah.
I mean, we were rushing at some point 7 guys. I mean, seven guys, and we could barely get pressure on the quarterback.
You know what, man, is we lost a lot of D linemen last year. We got some D linemen coming in that came in, but they hadn't played, and even their backups are freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores. And we're trying to run in defensive line because the pace UCF runs. So we're trying to get guys get more playing time. But when you're that young on a D team like that, again, their first game playing, some of those guys' first game playing, and they're trying to get out there playing against the number 13 team in the nation. So that was going to be a tough game regardless, but I do have some concerns about our D-line. I think O-line, they'll get it together. I think hopefully they'll figure it out, but D-line just so inexperienced, man. It's just going to be tough.
Yeah, and the size kind of bothered me. I mean, the offensive line, I think I saw a stat where they had like 50 pounds on our defensive linemen on average.
Wow.
I mean, that's a killer right there. Plus, like the inexperience. I mean, we're going to get bigger, but I mean, for now, I think that's going to be a trouble for this season. Yeah. But Ricky, I know that you watched at least the first half. What were your takeaways?
No, I'm big on ECU this year, not necessarily as a team or performance-wise, but just from a fan perspective. I'm excited to see the team this year for sure. I think they're going to make a lot of improvements, namely at the offensive line, I think. But I think I agree with that. Obviously, you have a more informed perspective being a player and an NFL veteran. But with the shortened offseason, I knew that was going to play a big role, considering that UCF had played a game and ECU hadn't. And in addition to that, UCF in the trenches, they put players in the NFL pretty consistently, especially on the defensive line. So I knew coming into this matchup it was going to be a tough game for ECU without a doubt. And past that, I mean, you don't see freshman breakout players on the defensive line very often, if at all. They're usually at receiver, cornerback. So because that's a position where size and experience matter probably the most. So I think like you guys said, as the season goes on, I think they can get better at those spots.
For sure. And Terrance, I want to talk to you about a guy, running back I've never even heard of Keaton Mitchell.
Keith Mitchell. Okay.
Did you see him play the other day? He had 8 carries for 66 yards.
I saw a little bit of him.
Okay, dude, the guy, he's explosive, man. We haven't had an explosive running back in a while, and the biggest thing for me wasn't just his speed, but his patience and his vision. I mean, I was impressed.
Hopefully he can break out because I'm not a big fan of running back by committee. I'm not a big fan of that. I like to solidify who's my running back. Now we may switch out. Depends on how his pass catching abilities is and how he picks up blocks when it comes to blocking for the quarterback and picking up the blitz. But I want to solidify a running back that's, okay, this is our guy. We running with him. Now, we may have another running back in there that come in. He's maybe a third down running back. But I'm just more of a fan of let's get a running back. I'm not a fan of running back by committee at all. So hopefully these running backs that we have, somebody can kind of start separating themselves from the pack as the season go on to get more playing time and kind of just solidify a main guy at the running back position.
For sure. I know they're high on Rajay Harris right now. But Ricky, I don't know if you want to talk about Penix because you got a little. Ricky's not a Penix guy.
I mean, I'll say at that level, I completely agree, especially at the college level. Running back by committee is just not the move. I think you got to have that dominant guy in the backfield who, especially ECU, it looked like they were running a lot of inside zone. On those types of carries, I think it's important to have a first and second down dominant ball carrier. And in college, you can have a guy rattling off 6 yards a carry at the end of the season sometimes, putting up crazy numbers. So, but past that, I think it's important too to have your best pass protector on the field on third down. So that's the only situation I can see real purpose for having, fluctuation, maybe a 2-back system, bringing a third guy for relief every couple, but nothing crazy. Penix, I think it was really just the fumbles. But like you said, CJ, he brings he's not a super explosive back, and my preference, especially at the college level, is those guys with burst who have real juice. And Penix, I think, can be a good short yardage guy, but obviously got to hold on to the football. But in the first game of the year, also it's a little bit tough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, another guy I want to talk about though was I don't know if you saw him, Terrance, Jairo Wilson. Or I think he was playing at box safety. Dude, he played great. Wilson. He played great, man. He's filling in for Gerard Stringer. He was my favorite. I don't know if you saw Gerard Stringer last year, dude. He was awesome. Like nobody talked about him. Dude, he would fly around the field, man. Like he was my favorite player last year. But Jairo Wilson, I mean, he had one of 2 tackle for losses. We had 2 tackle for losses on Saturday.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
I think Jaquan McMillan played well from what I saw.
Terrance, I've been telling him about Jaquan McMillan, man. That
I
guy
had an eye on him. Yeah.
Is that the corner 21?
Yes.
He's a beast.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. That kid's gonna be nice. I haven't seen another cover corner like him in a while. Well, I'll tell you another corner that can cover that I felt like kind of a few years ago. Injuries kind of plagued him, but I had him really doing some big things and even maybe getting drafted if you could stay injury free and pull some guy named Corey Sargent. Remember? Can y'all hear me?
Yep. Yeah, we kind of had a little breakup, but yeah, we got what you were saying.
Did you remember a guy named Corey Sargent?
I do. Yeah.
Corey Sargent and McMillan remind me a lot of each other. Those guys are very scrappy, can cover. The only thing about McMillan is his size. Sometimes you go against a bigger receiver, they make it the best of him, but he's always in position to make a play. He's always in position.
Well, that's the thing too with our defensive backs, or just at least our corners. I think that I don't want to say something like I'm not sure about, but at least for Saturday, our starting corners, I think like 3 or 4 of them, they're all like 5'10" or below.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think UCS receivers were like 6'2" and 6'4" in between that. I mean, that's a huge disadvantage right there. You know?
UCF always has some killer deep threats.
And
yeah, dude, Holton. I mean, I think Holton's going to be is a good college quarterback, but I mean, people aren't talking enough about him on Saturday. I mean, he completed 48% of his passes.
Yeah. How many yards he throw for? I forgot.
Let me see. I think it was 215.
On how many attempts?
30 attempts.
Yeah. 215 is not bad. It's not bad, but if you're gonna beat UCF, and that don't just rely on the quarterback. Your O-line got to block, the receivers got to get open, and the quarterback got to do his job to complete it, put the ball in a good position. But if you're gonna beat a UCF team, and we're predominantly throwing the ball, we got to throw for more than 215 yards. If you're gonna beat a team like that, especially if your run game is really not working the way it needs to be going. Now, if we're just running the ball down their throat and we throw for 215, you can take that. But as well you would like to, your quarterback. But I love, of course, he still has to continue to develop as a quarterback.
No, I'm with you on that for sure. A guy that me and Ricky have talked about a lot, or at least I've talked about a lot, who I don't know if you've seen coming out of high school, Ryan Stubblefield.
Okay.
The guy has a cannon. A cannon. If you ever go watch, like if you look at his highlight tape, he's got his first highlight. He dodges both of the edge rushers, steps up in the pocket and throws a 60-yard bomb in the back of the end zone. And I'm telling you, people talk about Mason Garcia, but Stubblefield's my guy. Like the problem is he's like 5'10", but I think he's going to be a breakout.
Now, is this the 49ers quarterback?
49ers.
Which quarterback you saying?
I'm talking about Ryan Stubblefield, ECU. He's a true freshman.
Yeah, got you. Look, you breaking up on me as well. I can't really hear what you're saying. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're starting to sound better now for sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. And you know, when we first got our guys coming in, everybody was real big on Garcia. Because Garcia's from South Carolina, right?
I think so. I'm not positive though, to be honest.
Yeah, so everybody was up on him. I really watched Stubblefield like that too much.
You should check him out, man. I'm telling you,
I'm gonna have to check him out.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. This is more of a suggestion. It's like that. Yeah. That guy's tape it's a blessing. It's a blessing for sure.
He's a beast.
And his huddle tape just needs to be viewed. It's must-watch content for sure.
Wow. Yeah, y'all got me wanting to watch it now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. Once you see that highlight tape, man, I know it's just a highlight, so we're not seeing the in between stuff. But the guy has a cannon, man. I'm telling you, he's got a cannon.
Wow.
Now, CJ, what I want to ask, what are our outlooks, for the rest of the season, going against teams like Tulane, Tulsa, that kind of competition? How do we stack up?
Well, I mean, offensively, I think that we're going to have no problems putting up points against everybody in the league. I mean, you take away the 3 or 4 turnovers. I mean, we put up. I don't see it. It's like we put up like 450 yards of total offense. Despite that,
I'd say that was my main takeaway from the UCF game is ECU could have been up 21-17 or something, like between 17 and 21 to 7. If you take away the fumbles, the drives were looking great. Just they were killed by fumbles, but they had no problem moving the ball until the score got so out of hand that they had to throw the ball nearly every down. The turnovers really plagued ECU. I think they would have had a chance in that game to get an early lead if you cut that out. For sure. And I was texting Ricky about this during the game. I don't love our run play calls. It's too predictable. You look at like a 49ers. They get creative with the way they run the football. We don't do that. Like Ricky said, it's inside zone. I want to see some pitches outside.
You just go outside. We don't go outside on our run plays very much.
Well, that goes back to the rest of the season as well. What's the outlook? What are you expecting to see play calling wise? Maybe after seeing him play week 1.
I mean, I think we'll be pretty good. I mean, Terrance, what do you think? I mean, I think we got a chance. I was thinking like go about 500 this year.
Yeah, my hope is just to get bowl eligible. I mean, if we can go 500, of course, I mean, that's better than the last few years what we've been doing. But my goal is to get bowl eligible. Let's get bowl eligible and actually get to a bowl. I don't know if that's too optimistic right now, but that's my goal for East Carolina is getting bowl eligible. Of course, 500 is a goal as well because it's better than what we have done in the past few years. But I think we're going to be okay offensively. We're going to be fine. I feel like defensively, our D-line still has to come along because we're going to need his name is Eric Graham. We're doing a radio show together, and he's an offensive lineman. And I'm always picking him about, and he's always talking about how O-line is the best athletes on the field, the most important guys on the field. And I play with him a lot because I talk about the receivers. But truthfully, your O-line and your D-line, they are the heart and soul of a football team because it doesn't matter what type of athletes you have behind them. If those guys aren't getting it done, you have no shot of winning. And so I feel like our O-line, our D-line has to continue to improve.
For sure. And I listened to Blake Carroll's comments today, and he said, I couldn't believe this. 19 of the 25 players that played on defense played their first college snaps.
Wow.
I mean, that's like unheard
That's crazy.
of.
That's
wow.
A crazy stat.
I mean, crazy. So considering that, I thought that our secondary especially played pretty well. I mean,
you know what? Something else I feel like helped us out? The fact that we didn't have a lot of fans in the stands.
Yeah. Okay.
I talked about it a little bit on the pregame show. Like the fact we didn't have a lot of fans in the stands, especially when you got a young team like that. Like I said, a lot of guys getting their first snap. The biggest thing when it comes to that is just the crowd. They're getting ooh and ahs from the crowd, and they walk out of the tunnel. Their eyes are big because they just see a ton of people out there screaming. That could be overwhelming for a young kid coming straight out of high school or something like that just played their first snap. But the fact that it wasn't a ton of crowd noise, it wasn't a lot of people in the stands, it felt like, I mean, honestly, for a young guy, it kind of felt like more of course, it's a game, but more of a glorified scrimmage per se because there's no fan base out there.
For sure. Yeah. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that really.
Especially in Dowdy, that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the past couple of years, but
Listen, Dowdy can get rowdy now. Terrance
That's what
knows.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's a big factor.
Yeah.
A problem
Dude,
I'm seeing
in
though.
08, man, Dowdy, insane.
Dude,
sure.
that defense in 08. You want to talk about a guy? I mean, C.J. Wilson, Quentin Cotton, Van Eskridge.
Then Linville Joseph on that team.
Linville Joseph. Yeah, we were awesome, man.
Yeah.
If we just imagine, I thought about that. Imagine if we had an explosive offense to pair with that defense. I mean, we could have ended up being ranked in the top 15 that year, in my opinion.
Yeah. Who was the quarterback that year?
I think it was Pinkney. I think.
Okay.
He was solid. I mean,
Dude, as a Miami fan, I know all about that. Dude.
Oh yeah. Ricky's a big Miami fan, like Miami Hurricanes as well. He's all Miami.
Oh, you're a Dolphin fan too?
Of course, yeah. Can't have the banner and rep the Dolphins right now. There's nothing to really celebrate. But for the Heat, however, it's huge for sure. But Miami, that's the poster child for great defense, horrible offense. But this year things are different. I'm just saying.
De'Aaron King, baby. De'Aaron King. He's a beast. So Terrance, I wanted to have just a few questions for you just about like your NFL career and stuff, man.
Okay.
First of all, what was it like to just be? It's gonna be kind of hard to explain, but I've always wanted to ask an NFL player this. what is it like just to be on the field with all these great players? I mean, just what is that like just to be out there and just see these, 75, 80,000 fans out there and just knowing you're on national broadcast? I mean, what is that like?
Well, to kind of answer your first question, when it comes to being out there with the players, you kind of get over that once you check in for training camp and for OTAs and off-season workouts. Your first day seeing them, you may be like, dang, this is such and such. Like, this is Keyshawn Johnson, or this is such and such. But after that first day, that goes out the window. Now it's straight football. You got to go out there and prove yourself to not just your coaches, but your teammates as well. So you can't be out there starstruck if you're trying to get some stuff accomplished. That's the first thing. But my biggest adjustment when it comes to football, when it came to the pros, was not, the fan base and seeing the fans, different things like that. It wasn't that. It was the ball. Believe it or not, the ball was my biggest adjustment. Because you think about it, in high school and in college, that football has a white stripe around it, around the tips of it, around the edge, around the end of it. So when the quarterback throws the ball, when they throw the ball, you can locate the ball quickly because you see that white stripe spinning at you the entire time. Well, in the NFL, it's just a plain brown ball. And so it can get mixed up or camouflaged with the environment, with the stands, with everything. So that was my biggest adjustment, was getting adjusted to the ball.
Got you. And who was your favorite head coach you played for in the NFL?
But all of them. And I know I don't want to just say all of them just to be saying it, but he taught me a lot. Then playing with Sean Payton, which he's going to be another Hall of Fame coach. I learned a lot from him. Todd Haley. Todd Haley, I like. He's one of my favorite coaches as well, because Todd Haley not only coached me in Kansas City as my head coach, but Todd Haley was my receiver coach when I was in Dallas. So I have a relationship with him as well. So, and then Coach Harbaugh up in Baltimore. I didn't get a chance to play too long in Baltimore. I was there for half a year, but I love the stuff he was about. So every coach I played for, I really respect them and I respect what they do.
Yeah, and here's my last question. What's your favorite moment during your entire career of football, or at least some of your favorite moments? They just stand out.
My favorite moments. You know what? And it's not really. I really don't have a moment. It's not really a moment, but it's two things, and both of these things have something to do with the team. It's first, my favorite moment is just the locker room. Me just being in the locker room with the guys. That's the one thing I miss about playing football. I don't really miss playing because I feel like I played long enough. I had my feel of it. But I miss the locker room. The locker room was always entertaining. The locker room is a very intimate situation, intimate setting, because we talk about some of everything in that locker room. You got guys that has a big personalities. So you miss the locker room. That's what you miss about it. You miss the locker room. Another thing that I really, one of my favorite moments was being voted as team captain 2 years in a row. And that wasn't voted on by the coaches. That was voted on by the players, my teammates. So it's different when the coaches vote you a team captain than your teammates, because if the coaches vote you a team captain, you can kind of hide the type of person you are, because you're not around the coaches all the time. I mean, you're around the coaches parts of the day, practice and meetings, but you're around your teammates every single day when you walk in that building, and they're watching you. They're watching how you walk. They're watching how you carry yourself. They not only how you carry yourself, they're watching how you produce on a football field. So for my teammates to vote me team captain 2 years in a row, that was one of my best moments, because, that's what I played for. I played for my teammates. I played I played for them guys to be able to trust me and to get validation from my teammates. That's what I played for. I never really played for coaches. I played for those guys in that locker room, and for me to get voted by them, to be a team captain, you know, that was big to me.
For sure, man, and that's awesome, dude. I mean, I get that's why you played so long in the league. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you were a team guy, and your special teams abilities too. I mean, that helped you out a lot too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But Ricky, do you have any questions for Terrance?
Yeah, I actually, me and CJ were talking about something off air that I wanted to get your opinion on. See, CJ says that Drew Brees as a quarterback in the NFL is done. He says Brees is washed.
Yep.
And he's been on that stance since last season. And from what I understand, you not only played with Drew Brees, you caught a Hail Mary pass from Drew Brees in an NFL game.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I just wanted to hear if you had any comments about that, you know, especially just anything really about playing with a legend like Drew Brees, guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best of all time.
He is, man, Drew Brees. I mean, of course, everybody sees the stuff that he does on the football field. He's a way better person off the field. He's a leader in every sense of the word. When it comes to leading his team, he is somebody that a receiver Drew just played on their team. Years you've been separated from Drew Brees. If Drew Brees call you right now because he needed some help with doing something, I don't care if he's in California. Guys that play for Drew Brees get up and figure out and get to California to help him out because of the type of person he was. Like I say, he's a true leader, and you will still run through a wall for Drew Brees right now. And I've been retired. My last year playing 2013, so I've been retired for 7-8 years now. You know, and I will still go through a wall for Drew Brees right now. And to answer your other question, if he's washed up, I don't think he's washed up. I don't think it at all. But I do think this may be his last year. Honestly, I thought last year was going to be his last year, not because of his performance, but because it was a shot. People may not pay attention to it, but last year, it was a game they played. I want to say it was close to the end of the season. And they put the camera on Drew Brees, and Drew Brees just was kind of looking up at the stands and just kind of soaking everything in. I want to say they may have lost that game, but probably the last game of the season. But he was just looking up in the stands and just kind of looking around and just soaking it up. And I told my wife, I said, you know what? This might be Drew Brees. When I knew when my time was done, I was doing the same type of looks, you know, just kind of soaking up everything, just kind of get that last view of the stadium, you know, the practice facility. I mean, you just kind of take that time, and nobody really knows what's going through your head at that time, but you're just kind of looking around like, man, this really could be it. So when I saw Drew doing that, I felt like last year was going to be his last year. But, of course, he decided to come back for one more year. But I don't see Drew playing after this year, honestly. Not saying because he don't have the talent or he don't have the passion for it, but it's just because I feel like that, you know, his time has run its course.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I just want to explain myself about why I say that. Because Drew Brees, he doesn't go vertical anymore. He can't he can't really make the same throws he used to, and defenses are starting to catch on, and they're starting to stack the box on him and play just the middle of the field because he can't really make those throws. He can't really go vertical anymore, at least from what I've seen. That's the only reason I say it. I love Drew Brees.
Well, yeah,
I love Drew Brees. To Drew defense, you know, when your best receiver in the league is not playing, you know, that's a big difference. You know, that's a big difference. Thomas, he's part of that offense, and he caught over 100 balls last year.
Yeah.
You know, so when that guy's not on the field, you know, as a quarterback, he's one of your best weapons. You know, so the offense may look a little different. And then also you got to look at the play calling. You know, Sean Payton, maybe they want to try to run the ball a little bit more. You know, or maybe that's the plays that the defense is giving up. You know, it's giving up the short yardage stuff, the intermediate passes. So a lot of that stuff I don't blame on Drew because he's not pushing it down the field like he used to. Some of it maybe play calling is not designed to go down the field. And then when you got your big play receiver out, you know, it's a little different.
Gotcha. Yeah, and not only that, Michael Thomas is he's the best if you don't want to say he's the best receiver, maybe you argue for Julio or somebody else. He's the best quick game receiver, quick game weapon in the league, because him and Alvin Kamara are two of the best 3 quick game like weapons in the NFL. And so when you take Michael Thomas out of the picture, suddenly that quick game in New Orleans just isn't as effective, and thus Drew Brees isn't going to be as effective. And that's not necessarily, I agree, not necessarily on Drew, but it also speaks to how much the offense could be better when Michael Thomas is back and healthy.
Definitely.
Terrance, I hope you're with me on this, man. I gotta ask you this.
All right.
Is Tom Brady the GOAT? There's one right answer, by the way.
Personally, I was always a Drew Brees guy. I always was a Drew Brees guy. But
there it is. Oh.
But wait. I feel like, and the reason why I say about Drew Brees is because I don't think Drew Brees get enough credit for how great he is. He should always be in the talk of one of the GOATs, you know. But Drew Brees never mentioned. You know, it's always Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, guys like that. I mean,
Dan Marino.
Drew Brees is never mentioned. He's never mentioned, and his records. He got more stats than they do in some categories, you know. And he got a Super Bowl. But when it goes back to your question about Tom Brady, I really never realized all his accomplishments until he left the Patriots, and they just started giving a rundown on all the things he's done. So I'm a Drew Brees guy, but I will say Tom Brady is the GOAT.
Thank God. Thank God.
See, as a Dolphins fan, I've always been well aware of what Tom Brady's damage to the NFL has been. But I will comment that I don't think this debate is even worth having, because Tom Brady's stint with the Buccaneers combined with the existence of Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter if Brady's the GOAT right now, because Patrick Mahomes is going to be. And that might be an early take, but I just don't see how he's going to be slowing down at all, and he's still extremely young.
And Terrance, I know you're a Chiefs guy, so
I'm a Chiefs guy, and Patrick Mahomes is the guy. I think he is the guy. If he continues to stay healthy, that's the biggest thing. If he stays healthy, you know, I think in about 8 or 9 more years, maybe about 8 or 9 more years, you know, people will be saying that he is the guy. He is the guy. He'll be the GOAT. But that's a long time from now. He got a lot of accomplishments he has to fulfill. Now, he started out fast. With a Super Bowl and an MVP. So he's come out the blocks, you know, running. But he has to have that continued success. He has to have that longevity, like a Peyton Manning or a Brett Favre or Tom Brady or a Drew Brees. It's that longevity. You know, it can't be just, you know, of 6-7 years, you know, he's done. It got to be that longevity, because those guys have longevity, and they've been doing it in and out consistently every year performing. So that's one thing I want to do it, but it has to be done. It still has to be done.
And I just want to say about, like, with the Chiefs, I feel like people don't talk enough about, you know, I was watching the Ravens and Chiefs game. The Chiefs' offensive line is unbelievable.
I'm telling you, it is.
I mean, unbelievable. I mean, they gave Patrick Mahomes all day back there.
Mm-hmm. But you know what, though? When you have a quarterback that talented and you have an offensive line that gives him time, that's the reason why we're talking about Tom Brady to go, because Tom Brady hardly ever got touched when he played for the Patriots. You know, his old line was that good. It was times you could look at Tom Brady and he was just sitting back there. His feet wasn't moving. He was just really sitting back there like a sitting duck, but nobody was around him. So he was able to make those passes to whoever he wanted to throw it to, because nobody pressured him.
Yeah, and when they did hit Brady, it was a 15-yard penalty. So, I mean, there's But I think going back to the Chiefs discussion, me and Siege again, we're talking about this off air. I wanted to get your take. If you played today, who would be the better number 10 for the Kansas City Chiefs? Tyreek Hill or Terrance Copper?
You know what? I got to give it to Tyreek Hill, man.
I don't know.
You know, Tyreek Hill is a monster. He was a monster. I was great at what I did. Like I say, when I played in the NFL, I had long.
I was gonna ask you, if you played with Mahomes, do you believe that you could have been getting on the field? Do you think you would have put up some receiving numbers potentially, like on a high level, being with a great quarterback who's producing like that?
Yes. Look, I'm gonna tell you, and I hate going back to him, but when I was in New Orleans, you know, because of a guy like Drew Brees, you know, and so when you play with good quarterbacks, you know, they're going to spread the ball around. They're going to spread it around, and they're going to make that receiver better because they're going to put the ball in places where only he can catch it. So definitely anybody, you probably can bring anybody off the street that's pretty good, and they're going to put numbers up playing with Mahomes.
I wanted to ask you this, Terrance. I talk to Ricky about this all the time. Am I crazy to say that Alvin Kamara is the best running back I have ever seen? Because if you have him as a receiver, he would be like a top 15 receiver in the league. And in the backfield for a guy that's like, I guess you could say a third down back, but he's really all three downs. He runs with such power. I mean, he'll just wear a defense down all game, just running right through you.
I agree with that. I think he's the best back in the league. Yeah, I think he's the best back in the league.
I said all time.
Well, I don't know about all time. All time. You got some good running backs from all time.
Well, no, well, I miss. Hey, timeout. I misspoke. When I say all time, it's from what I've seen, and that means from 2010 to 2020. That's my window. So
you know what though, you can't knock Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is very productive, not only as a running back but as a receiver as well. He screens out of the backfield, different things like that. But I do like Kamara a little more than McCaffrey, but I respect McCaffrey a ton.
For sure. And yeah, man. I didn't tell you this, but I'm a Washington football team fan. So okay. we've been bad for the last 20 years. But I just want to say, man, be sure to watch out for Gotham City because we're coming. That's the name for our defense. We're coming. Okay. We got the People's Corner Jimmy Moreland out there, man. You know James Madison. Mike Houston coached them. Just give us a year or two, man. We'll be NFC East champs.
We'll see. I think y'all been saying it for the last 30 years, probably.
yeah, for sure. I've never seen a good Washington team since I've been alive. So
I'm telling you, everybody's still living off the back in the day team. They're still living off that hype.
Yeah, man.
RG3 Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. But another thing I want to ask you, Terrance, and I was just going to say, what have you noticed? Back when you played in like the mid, to early 2000s, do you see? Is it similar talent to when it was then, or in recent history, do you see that there's a lot more talent now than there used to be across?
It's still. I mean, it was still a lot of talent when I played. It was a ton of talent. I think now. I mean, to me, talent is talent when it comes to football. And I feel like I haven't been out so long that the gap is that wide yet. But you can definitely tell guys are getting faster coming into the league. Guys, look at the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at their team. Look at their receiving core. Those guys are fast. And even you can look at things like upcoming teams. Like look at UCF. Look at different teams that just have a ton of team. Those guys be playing in the NFL with all that team speed. Those guys that's fast, like they can be playing in the NFL. So I feel like they've gotten faster. The guys have gotten faster.
Yeah, I've just really noticed it more than anything in wide receiver. I feel like the wide receivers today are just. I mean, even guys like sometimes in the third depth chart position on,
Can't hear you.
I don't know.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. No, I was just saying, like, I just feel like the wide receivers are just getting better and better every single year, especially.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ricky, do you have any other questions for Terrance?
I do have two more quick questions. That's all I got. Okay, one.
Okay.
So you said you played half a season with Baltimore. I'm curious, did you meet Ray Lewis?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What about Ed?
Ed, yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Like you said, it's not as crazy to you, I'm sure, just like you know, being an NFL veteran and just being around great players. But to me, that's like, dang, I'm talking to someone who was in the presence of Ray Lewis. That's crazy.
Oh man,
I forever.
Love him. He and Ed Reed are my two favorite defensive players in the history of the NFL. I love those guys. Just the passion for the game is literally it for me. I mean, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed loved football.
They did.
I mean, loved.
And my last question is just about as an offensive guy yourself and playing in the NFL, playing in a pro style with Steve Logan. What do you think of the trends like with the NFL now with offenses getting more spread out? The college level seems to be becoming kind of defining NFL's or the offenses in the NFL, namely with Andy Reid. And I just wanted to get your take on that.
You know what? I'm fine with running the spread. One thing about it in the NFL, the difference between NFL and college is the NFL, we have packages that we go no huddle or we go up tempo. I mean, you still go spread. You still can go spread, but we have different packages. That's a no huddle package. But in college, everything is no huddle. Everything is no huddle. They call the plays from the sideline. You just line up at the line of scrimmage. And the reason why I'm not a fan of that, now I'm a fan of the spread. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the spread. But I'm not a fan of never huddling. And this is why. Because when times are getting rough, you may be losing. The momentum is not going your way. You don't get a chance to get back to that huddle and look your guys in the eyes and look your quarterback, your leader in the eyes, just tell you, okay, let's go, we can get it. And just get that encouragement that you need as a team. You miss that part of it when you don't huddle. It's a difference when you get to that huddle, you looking each other in the eyes and you're looking at the quarterback and he's looking at us and we encouraging each other as a team. You don't get that when you have no huddle. You can do it on the sideline, but when you're on the sideline, it's too late. You need that type of talk. You need that motivation during that time when you need it, just to kind of rally the troops in the game, but you don't get any of that when you go no huddle and you never get a chance to get in a huddle to kind of look your guys in the eyes, and get that reassurance. Listen, we can do this, so that's the only part about the no huddle situation I don't like. It's that bond that you get that you only can get when you get in that huddle.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. I had never thought about that, to be honest. I mean, as a Miami fan, and we've run the pro style longer than just about anyone except Georgia in the league, and this is our first year with the spread offense. And we've been clamoring for no huddle tempo offense with all the speed Miami has on their team every year. But I'd honestly never considered that angle of how having a huddle can be beneficial to the team.
Definitely, yeah.
So, Terrance, my last question is, who's your favorite ECU player of all time? Football.
Oh, favorite football player of all time. I mean, and it's kind of biased, but I got to go with Vontae Leach. I got to go with Vontae. And the reason why I go with Vontae Leach is because now me and him was roommates, when we was in college. So I know how he is on the football, fan of his when it comes to football. And did you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. It was kind of breaking up a little bit, but we got kind of like the gist. But yeah, he was awesome, man, for sure. I mean, he was he was like a Pro Bowler for multiple years in the NFL. I mean, he's one of the best fullbacks for at least half a decade. I mean,
Yeah.
Mine actually. This is gonna surprise you. My favorite player is actually James Summers.
James Summers.
I
like him.
love James Summers.
Yeah. I like Summers.
Dude, I don't know. There was something about him, man. The way that he just like could run the football, like that dude was a freaking tank, man.
Yeah, he was.
I think a part of it too was that Virginia Tech game when it was raining and he rushed for like 100 yards, and when he came in after the first quarter,
yeah,
I mean, that was awesome, man. That was awesome. But anyway, but Terrance, I mean, we can't thank you enough for coming on, man. It's been great.
I appreciate y'all having me, man.
I appreciate it, man. Hopefully we'll be able to get you on again another time.
All right, that sounds good. Look, I look forward to it. Fellas, it was nice talking to y'all guys, man. I'll talk to y'all later, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one, brother.
You too.
All right, we're back. Had to pause the recording for a sec. Post Terrance Copper interview. How was it? Yeah.
Dude, I thought it was great, man. I mean, Terrance, what a great guy. I mean, he knows so many things. I mean, everything that we talked about, like as far as ECU football and just the NFL, I mean, who better is a guest in our reach could we really get? I mean, he was perfect.
Yeah, again, the audio quality isn't the best. We apologize for that. But I mean, I think the interview was great. We got the gist of all his answers. And, past that, just, again, big thanks to Terrance. Big shout out. Hopefully we can have him on again. I thought that was a great discussion. Definitely one of the best episodes yet so far. And we're not even into the GasCast discussion yet.
Yeah. Now we can say words like fuck. So I had to say it.
We could say that before.
We could have said it to Terrance, but it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Terrance doesn't cuss, so you got to respect the man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we can get right into. I mean, we haven't talked since the Miami Heat conquered the Celtics in game. What was it, 5 or 6? Game 6.
Yeah, and truthfully, we haven't even talked about it like off air, because I was trying to troll you a little bit after game 6, to send you some memes and all that. But I also wasn't trying to push your buttons too much. You know what I mean? So I'd like to. I'm sure maybe whatever feelings you had after the loss have gone away now. I'm sure. And either way, you didn't seem super like you didn't seem like you'd be super bummed if they lost necessarily. So
I wasn't. Dude, the bubble is like, to me, the bubble has ruined the NBA for the season. Like, even if the Celtics won, like let's say they went to game 7 and won it and advanced to the finals, I would not even be that hyped. Like, the bubble is like the dumbest thing. I mean, I appreciate the effort, but the bubble's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, the games are boring as shit.
Yeah. I mean, you can't possibly argue that having an arena with tons of fans and not having fans just doesn't impact the way the game is played. You can't. And with football, we've been seeing it a fuck ton too as well. Like, there you go. There's your first.
There it is.
But with football, like Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if you watched Aaron Rodgers on primetime the other day, Sunday Night Football. I think he must have gotten like at least 5 hard count offsides, like drawing the other team off. Because when you can hear, like with no fan interference, and all you can hear is Aaron Rodgers and like the whole stadium, his hard count is like impossible to know when he's snapping. So, but that's football. Going back to basketball, there you can't possibly say the bubble hasn't impacted the games. Now, I think the Heat would have had a chance to come out either way, but like you said, this outcome isn't like, I don't know. The only reason I'm hype and invested in the NBA is because the Heat went to the finals. Like, if they didn't, I wouldn't even be watching.
To be honest, like, I don't even think I'm going to watch the NBA Finals for the first time in maybe my entire life. I don't even think I'm going to watch the finals. Like, I might tune in to, like, let's say game 6 or a closeout game. But game 1 and 2, maybe even game 3, I don't think I'm watching. It's boring. I mean, I hate to say I'm rooting for your Heat hard, but this could be a 4-1 situation. I mean, the Heat are great and everything, but like we're talking about the NBA Finals here.
So let's go. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and get into the matchup preview. Heat defeated the Celtics. Close series. Every game was close. I think the biggest win was actually by the Celtics in Game 5. So the teams were evenly matched for sure. But breaking down the Lakers matchup, I completely agree. I think there's no world where the Heat 4-1 the Lakers. There is a world where the Lakers sweep the Heat or 4-1 the Heat. However, I think the teams are much more evenly matched than it would appear on the surface.
Oh yeah, for sure. Biggest thing is it's obvious, but depth. I mean, like with the Lakers, it's like AD, LeBron fall off.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can't rely on Danny Green is the most hot and cold shooter ever.
Kuzma is like, I mean, he's young, but he's okay. Like he's just not what the media is. Like he was the second best player on the Lakers for a time. So of course the media was propping up. I'm not going to say empty statistics, but pretty empty statistics because he was on the Lakers. And then now you see he's a good player, but is he the player you want to have around LeBron? I don't know. I mean, he's just not that guy. But with like you were saying, I think obviously on the top end, the 1 and 2 for the Lakers just is completely transcending the 1 and 2 for the Heat. I mean, the Heat 1 and 2 are completely arguable. You could argue multiple players at either spot. But the 3-9 for the Heat compared to the Lakers, like there's hardly any competition there for me. I think every player 3-9 on the Heat would be like a large contributing factor for the Lakers roster.
For sure. Oh yeah. Dude, if you had like imagine dude, just honestly, just take LeBron and just put him on the Heat, dude. Like I mean, that would be like an unstoppable team.
I mean,
Like,
take Duncan Robinson this season, his shooting numbers, and put him on the Lakers. And
either way, take Duncan Robinson or Hero or Dragic and Tyler Hero or one. Just there's a few guys you can interchange. I'll even throw Jay Crowder in there after this playoff run.
hell, even Kelly Olynyk.
I mean, they got they got Dwight and JaVale, so they got the paint holding down.
Olynyk can shoot the 3 ball though.
He can, but he's inconsistent, as you know. That's why he hasn't played much in the last series.
Yeah. I'd say it was also a matchup thing. Against the Celtics, like Olynyk would just get exposed unless Enes Kanter was on the court. So
yeah, you need a fast team when you're playing the Celtics, because we play small ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And Olynyk is the opposite of fast.
and I'm thinking like going to like you were saying that everyone was watching the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, and everyone's wondering how are they going to compete with any, like the Lakers have size. That's what they have. They have Howard, AD, Kuzma's tall. They have JaVale. Hell, even Danny Green isn't like, I don't think he's like a small player either. But I think what we're going to see is a lot more of Derrick Jones Jr. in this series. Like a lot. He barely played against the Celtics, but he's probably our second best defender on the entire team. And then you if not third behind Bam and Jimmy, but I think Derrick Jones will see a lot of Anthony Davis because let's be honest, the Heat need Bam. And if he guards AD, every time he's in the game, he's going to draw a lot of fouls. And you can't have Bam getting in foul trouble early in the series. So I think you'll see Derrick Jones out there a lot. I think you'll see Kelly O out there more. And the expense minutes, I'm not sure where we're going to see those minutes go because you want to see Iguodala play, you want to see Jay Crowder play. But they might have to draw those minutes back a little bit. We'll see what Spoelstra does.
Yeah, for sure. I'm cheering for your Heat, dude. It's going to be a tough series, though. It's going to be a tough series. The only thing that I like in your favor is obviously the depth we talked about, but also defensively. I don't know. I know that the Heat are in the top, 5 in defense or something. But personally, the Heat are the best defensive team in the league. I don't care where they're at on the 5 list or whatever, if they're number 1 or whatever. But from an eye test perspective, their ability to switch all 5 positions and guard your 5. I mean, you can have Bam guarding the perimeter or guarding the paint against anybody. Even a guy like Jimmy Butler can guard in the post. Even
Yeah.
Tyler Hero can somewhat guard in the post.
And they got Iguodala and Jay Crowder, two of their better defenders, late in the season, which means their full season metrics weren't going to compare to the Milwaukee Bucks. That was the main team they were behind as like one of the best defensive teams, because the Heat had a major defensive infusion into their roster of about a little over midway through the year. So I completely agree with that. And as we all know, Andre Iguodala won Finals MVP for being the LeBron stopper. You know, just throwing that out there. 35 points a game.
Well, it's true, but
LeBron from single-handedly winning the NBA Finals against the Warriors and won Finals MVP for it.
yeah, I will say though, Iggy's washed. Like I'm
disagree.
sorry, dude.
I disagree. He hit 4 threes in that closeout game.
I know, but come on. You know, a clock strikes twice once a day. What is that the saying? I don't know. I don't know if that's the saying.
Isn't it a wrong clock is right twice a day?
A wrong clock is right twice a day. Rick.
Broken clock is what it is.
A broken clock is right twice.
So you're saying if he plays enough, he's gonna be good? Because I just don't agree with that. I think if you suck and you play a lot, you'll just suck all the time.
Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn. I mean, dude.
But Nunn doesn't play much right now.
That is true. That is true. But hey, Kendrick, in case something goes down, you can just give him the rock. Let him take over, dude.
I'm not gonna say we're Kendrick Nunn haters on this podcast. Definitely not. I do like Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn doubters, that's a different discussion. I think we could definitely take that label.
Yeah, I got to switch topics here. I got to talk about the Celtics. What we got to do in our off season.
All right. Hold up. But we can talk about that. But let's just get some predictions out of the way. Game 1 is about to tip off.
Okay. For me, game 1, who knows, dude? Game ones are weird. Like, you don't know what's going to happen in game 1. You saw the Rockets destroy the Lakers in game 1 and then lose 4 straight. So I mean, who really knows, dude? I'm gonna say Lakers are gonna. I'm gonna say Lakers over the Heat, 107-102 tonight. I think it's gonna be an AD showing. I think AD is gonna put up like a double solid 38-13. I think it's gonna be an AD night.
And what do you have for the series?
For the series, I'm going to say Lakers in 5.
Yeah. I'm honest. Like, if I was a betting man, I'd say Lakers in 6. As a fan, I'm comfortable saying the Heat could win in 7 games. I'm not going to predict it, per se. My like number 1 outcome would be Lakers in 6. I don't think it'll be a 5-game series.
Yeah.
Either side.
I feel like, you know, if the Heat win game 1, I don't think it means that much. Like, obviously it'd be good for the Heat, but I think if the Lakers dominate the Heat in game 1, and that's what that's my prediction. I think it's going to be 107-102, but I think it's going to be a thing where the Lakers are up 10-15 the entire game, and then the Heat garbage time cut it to like 5. If the Lakers do that, I think the Heat are in real trouble to lose in 5. If the Lakers dominate tonight.
All right.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think the Heat will lose tonight. I was gonna guess actually a pretty similar score. But like you said, it could go either way, and I don't think it would mean a significant amount for the total outcome of the series. But Celtics off season, trading Kemba Walker. Let's just steam on Kemba Walker.
Please trade Kemba Walker, dude. Please, God.
Now, if you were putting a percentage down, how likely would you say it is that Kemba's gone? Kemba or Brad Stevens?
So Brad Stevens is not going anywhere. He just got signed to an extension before the playoffs started or after the first round. And he is easily, no doubt, a top 5 head coach in the NBA. No question about it. For trades this offseason, I'm going to take into account what I've seen and also what I've seen on Twitter from like the rumor mill, from the ECU beat writers. For me, I would love to see Kemba go and Gordon Hayward stay. But what the beat writers are saying is that Kemba Walker's not in the discussion to go at all, and Gordon Hayward is highly likely to be traded this year, along with a package of throw somebody in like a Carson Edwards or Romeo Langford in a pick.
Dude.
And a rumored suitor is actually the Pacers for some reason. Apparently, Victor Oladipo for Gordon Hayward is starting to get some traction.
Trading Carson Edwards would be the biggest mistake the Boston
would be.
Celtics ever make.
Dude, Carson Edwards is a beast. If he like in a few years, he's going to be like I don't think he'll ever be a star just because of size. I mean, he's like 6 feet tall, but I could see him easily being a solid 6-man in like a year or two, dude. The guy can shoot the lights out of it. I mean, in limited time, he performed like greatly this year.
Would you take him or Wanamaker?
Wanamaker. Wanamaker's a beast.
Or Romeo?
Kemba or Romeo?
Carson.
Oh, Carson by a mile. Romeo is like, he's going to be okay, I guess, but ever since he hurt his hand, his shooting mechanics have been a complete mess, dude. It's like Markelle Fultz Part 2, dude.
Oh, wow. That's
it's
not
a mess.
Not great. Not a great, what's the word, review there, I guess.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Romeo Langford hasn't made one three-pointer this entire season. I'm going to go out on a limb. He's only played maybe 11 or 12 games, and in each game maybe 2 or 3 minutes. But I don't think he's made a three-pointer. I don't even think he's attempted a three-pointer. So I don't know. I just we'll see what happens. But what the rumors are saying is that Gordon is going to be traded this offseason for Victor Oladipo, which doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah, right.
That's okay. You I don't know. You get a guy that is more of an isolation. Gordon Hayward is a guy who needs the basketball, but he's like a point guard. Like he's more of a distributor than a scorer. Why would you trade him for a guy that's going to be an ISO guy? I just it doesn't make any in a system where we move the ball. We're a similar system to the Heat. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the Celtics could really use another ISO guy. You know, they don't have enough of those.
Yeah, I mean, what the freak, dude? I mean, like Kemba, like don't even get me started on Kemba's ass. Trade his ass. Get Marcus Smart at the 1. Problem solved. Kemba holds onto the ball for 20 seconds of the shot clock, and then bricks a step back.
And you have to let him do it because of the way you pay him. Like you can't just ask him to stand in the corner. You know.
Yeah, I love Kemba.
Gotta get out of there, man.
Dude, if we didn't have Kemba, I think we would have beaten you guys, honestly.
But, like, do you replace Kemba with somebody or just give his minutes to someone else on the team?
I literally, obviously we would replace him with somebody in theory, but honestly, if we literally didn't have Kemba Walker on the team, I think we would have been better.
Now, do you have an ideal trade in mind, like as far as your just overall thoughts for the offseason? Like, what would you like to see going into next year?
For me, I would like to see a trade I would like to see us trade Kemba for a stretch 4, and maybe like a late first-round pick.
Yeah, you can check my receipts, dude. I said the exact same thing after the Game 6 loss. I didn't text it to you, but I said it to someone else.
Yeah, like an
Kemba for a stretch 4.
A Brook Lopez, a Nikola Mirotic.
I actually said Covington, but I don't know if he'd be accessible because he's pretty valuable to the Rockets.
Yeah, I Kemba on the Rockets. Ugh.
Yeah, it wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he's accessible, but as far as like a player that would possibly work with the Celtics.
For sure. Dario Saric would be good.
What about a Dragon Bender?
Dragon Bender his career has been rough so far.
What about Aaron Baines?
Aaron Baines, I love Aaron Baines, but his time in C-Town's over.
Yeah. What about Jared Allen?
Jared Allen, he's not a stretch 4. He's more like a like the most prototypical big of all
I'm
time.
just thinking of names that have been like, out there, like
Yeah.
potential
Um,
trade.
yeah, like I said, somebody like a Nikola Mirotic would be perfect.
Yeah. So you're
Uh,
thinking like a white guy, like a European guy, maybe.
Yeah, a white guy. Like a think of like a Lowry Markkinen.
Oh, dude, talk about a name I haven't heard in forever. Holy shit.
He's
Dude,
good though.
I thought I loved Larry Markkinen. And like this year, I don't think I ever, no, maybe I did hear his name like before the All-Star break, but I just don't, maybe the Bulls were just horrible. And so he wasn't very good this year, but I thought he was tremendous, dude.
He's pretty good this year. He wasn't amazing, but he was solid. Another pulling out of my ass here. I want to say he put up like 16 and 11.
That's just like, I look at that name, I hear that name, and I'm just like 16 and 11. Like it just,
Let me see if I'm right. 16 and 7.
dude.
That's his
Okay,
career.
I'll give you that, dude. I mean, just getting the points right on.
Oh God. Oh, actually, never mind. No, it's way
Without-
off. 15 and 6.
Did you just say 16 and 7 is way off from 15 and 6?
No. So that was his career, I guess. So he had a down season this year.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like he was very good, and then this year he just like wasn't.
Okay, well I don't fucking dude. I don't watch enough like Lowry Markkinen to like
Who the
give
fuck
you
watches the Bulls, dude?
nobody, dude.
I don't, but
Nobody.
I'm just talking about his skill set, like going on
Yes.
the blacktop in NBA 2K. Like I love to have Larry Markkinen on my squad. Like
But that's the type of guy that I want. Somebody like that. A guy that you can put at the 5, and he's not necessarily a great interior defender or scorer, but he's good enough where you can put him down low and he can get rebounds and defend enough. But you can also put him out on the perimeter and kick it out when you're driving and get some easy buckets from the corner.
Can you think of any good scenario where they introduce another guard, like replacing Kemba with another guard?
I don't want him to. Marcus Smart is such a good point guard. He's such a good point guard, dude. He carries our offense. He understands our system and our playbook so well, and he makes so good decisions with the basketball. He doesn't hold on to the ball long at all. If you notice when Marcus Smart's playing point guard, it's quick. He'll drive it up. He'll do like a dribble handoff, and it's just into action. Or he'll come up, throw it down low. That's the thing about Kemba. He'll dribble up the court, go left of the perimeter, then go right of the perimeter, then dribble back, and then drive in and do a step back from like the top of the key. Like that was like his go-to, which was the worst offensive like moves I've ever seen. It completely destroyed our system and any offensive flow.
Dude, I hate Marcus Smart, but as a player, I mean, he was the only guy for the Celtics. One, he's the only reason the Celtics won 2 games in the Heat series. 2, he seemed like the only player on the court who every game just like actually wanted to win. Obviously, they all want to win, but like you could really see it in the way he played. Also, they did like mic'd up for Marcus Smart and like the way he was communicating with his team. It's clear that he's like the alpha presence on the team. And that's weird to say with Jason Tatum on the same team, but Marcus Smart acts like he's the best player on the Celtics. And that's very valuable for sure.
Marcus Smart and Tatum are basically our captains of the squad. Like they're especially Marcus Smart, dude. I mean, I hate to use like this is my example, but listen to if you go watch like The Wired, like when he's like wired in, and you listen to him in the game. He's like telling people, all right, you need to go here. You know, JT, go here. They're switching, go here. I mean, he's on top of it, dude. He's been in the system for like 6 or 7 years now. Since he got in the league in like 2014, he's been in the system, the same exact system. So he understands it, and he knows, and he understands that his players are not old enough to really be leaders. When you got Tatum who's 22, Brown who's 23, I get Kemba's a leader, but I don't think he's been there enough to really take the reins. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he can come into a team as good as the Celtics and just announce this is his team, especially when he's not the best player on the court.
That's what I thought was weird about the deal to get Kemba. And I think a lot of people said this going into the season. It's just the dynamic there was not clear at all going into the season. And as we could see, even at the Eastern Conference Finals, it was not clear. Like, just who's going to be your closer? Who's going to be the best player on your team? Who's going to be the guy who handles the ball at the end of the game? Like the Heat, that's Jimmy Butler. And occasionally it was Tyler Hero. But you were saying that they're too young to be leaders. Tyler Hero's 20 years old.
He's going to be a beast.
For the record.
He's going to be a beast, though. I hate how they're putting him in the same conversation as Magic, though. I mean, like, can we take a step back, please? Only Magic Johnson put up more than 37 points.
That's just numbers, bro. Numbers don't lie.
Dude, have you noticed? Maybe it's just me. Every single NBA game I watch, a record is broken that is like the dumbest record ever. Like, they're like, this is the first time since 1969 that someone has had 6 rebounds and 4 turnovers in a game. I'm like, dude, like they pull these stats out of their ass, dude. Like,
not even true. Just no one's Googling them because they don't care enough. So it just like through.
Yeah, they're like, this is the first time a Celtic has scored 25 and 10 in the first game of the first round since Larry Bird. Like, who?
I do see that. I see that shit all the time, dude. Like those specific, like in a game 1 or in an elimination game, in a closing game, like shit like that. Like,
who gives a hell, dude? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, honestly, like
I hate when they put franchise records on the broadcast because I'm like, dude, like I think it's an NBA record, and then it's like, oh, it's a franchise record, okay.
Yeah, I mean those get broken like every day, dude.
That's
like, I mean it's
except in the off season. I don't know what records they could be breaking. Maybe transaction. Like,
highest salary cap or something. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean that's my take on the Celtics. We'll still be solid, but trade Kemba and I think that we'll be in a good shape. But the Nets, I'm scared, dude. The Nets are going to be dirty. Have you seen KD's off-season highlight tapes?
No. Yeah, I actually have.
He looks explosive, dude.
Oh, I have no doubt that he's going to be himself when he gets back. And then imagine if Kyrie Irving played for the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2012, 2013, 2014 with Kevin Durant.
Yeah, God.
Obviously, instead of Westbrook.
This always brings us back to our argument that Westbrook sucks.
Would LeBron have what? Would LeBron have 2 rings? Would he have 1 ring?
No rings, dude. Kyrie is too good, dude. He's
like that. If Kyrie and KD played together, I don't know, man. Because the big 3, like when they played each other in the finals in 2012, that series wasn't close at all. You know what I mean? And I wonder what Kyrie Irving would do to that dynamic. Because obviously it wasn't until 2015 that Kyrie was like – he was always a beast, and I wonder if he would be better earlier if he played on those teams with KD. But, like, obviously in real life he wasn't like a real breakout, crazy, top 5 player till about 2015.
Well, this is what I always say. Like, this is why I love Kyrie, and I've told you about this. Like, when he was on the Celtics, he would come out and say, like, his teammates suck or something, like after a game. And then the next game, he would drop, like, 40. And with, like, 50 seconds left or like, let's say 20 seconds left, and there's last second shot, Brad Stevens has this, like, elaborate play, and Kyrie will just blow up the play, take it at the top of the perimeter, and Marcus Smart's, like, calling for the ball to start the action. And he's like, out of the way, out of the way. And Kyrie would just ISO, step back, drain it, dude. And it was awesome. Like, we need that. That's why I love Kyrie. He's literally the definition of cold-blooded. He's an assassin. He's literally an assassin, dude. Like,
I don't know how you coped with Kyrie Irving leaving your favorite team. Like, he was on your favorite team, and it just didn't work out.
I told you what I did.
Didn't you burn the jersey or something like?
So right when the official announcement came, I was in bed. I got out of bed, took my Kyrie jersey, and I said, "Fuck you, Kyrie!" And I just started ripping the shit out of it. And to show you how pissed I was, I threw it on the ground and stepped on it for like 3 minutes. Like, I kept jumping up and down on it just to, like, show my hate, dude.
I would have bought the jersey too. It's the worst.
It was devastating. Dude, he's my favorite player in NBA history besides Paul Pierce.
I bought a Minka Fitzpatrick throwback edition jersey, so it was more expensive
Oh.
than the normal one. And dude, the white throwback Dolphins jersey, it's beautiful. Now Brandon Jones wears number 29, so I'm thinking I might need to just like take the nameplate off somehow and put Jones on there. Dude, but dude, like my hate for Minka increased solely because I had the jersey. Like
Exactly.
like it had a lot to do with the situation as well, but a lot of my hatred there was because of the jersey. I
Well,
mean, it's useless.
it's just because it also brings back good memories. What turns out to be bad memories because he left. So I bought the jersey like 2 weeks after he signed with the Celtics, and I wore it all the time. And it was just an excuse for me to start up a conversation on how the Celtics are going to not lose a game. Like I'd be like, Kyrie's going to average 40. Celtics are going to go like win 65 games. Like, dude, that off season was some of the greatest sports moments of my life, dude.
I have a
game.
4 years down the line, you're the way Tatum and Brown are going to be and Smart, that you're just going to be like even more hurt almost, because it's like, dang, like I wish Kyrie could have been on the team 4 years later, as opposed to when Tatum and Brown like weren't fully ready to like compete for a championship.
God, dude. See, that puts you in a position where, like, if I'm the Celtics, and even though I love Tatum and Brown, I really had my eyes set on, and it was going to happen. It was going to happen. Like, the Celtics were trading for Anthony Davis, no question about it, if Kyrie stayed. So that also played into the hate a little bit. I had envisioned the entire season that we were going to trade Tatum and Brown for AD and have Kyrie, AD, Horford, Marcus Smart, Gordon Hayward is our starting lineup. And I thought that we were going to be, like, unstoppable.
And I mean, think about how much better a deal that'd be for New Orleans as well.
That would have been an unbelievable deal. But think about our team, dude. We would have been stacked. AD and Kyrie, oh my God, dude. That would be unstoppable.
Yeah. Two like very questionable personalities as well, though.
True. That is true. But who cares? The talent.
That'd be interesting, without a doubt.
The 1-2 punch of Kyrie and AD. I mean, Shaq, Kobe-esque.
I mean, I don't think that's an insane thing to say. Just like, obviously not from a winning perspective, but like when you first put Shaq and Kobe on the same team, Shaq was already an MVP, if I'm not mistaken. Kobe was already an emerged star. But at the same time, like, Anthony Davis has been a top 5 player in the NBA for a long time. Kyrie Irving, he has the 2016 finals, and he'll always have that.
Shot heard around the world. Step back, clear out.
It's kind of funny because
that's what I love.
Because I feel like when we really do break down like our love for Kyrie Irving on this podcast, like when you source it, it's really like the 2016 finals. Like
when you source it, it's me in the clutch moments seeing Carmelo Anthony reincarnated. Listen, Melo, this is a story that I want to say Amon Shumpert, he said it on some podcast that I watched, that it was in the final seconds of the game. And Shumpert was wide open in the corner. Melo, just decided to take it himself and shoot it. And after the game, Shumpert's like, Melo, I was wide open in the corner for the game winner. He says, I saw you. I was taking that shot. Like, that's Kyrie. That's Kyrie. Like, that is Kyrie, and that's why I love him. Like, it doesn't matter. And this is my problem with LeBron. Fuck your teammates. If it's 10 seconds left, it's your time. It's your time. Don't pass it to Kyle Korver in the corner for a contested 3 going back to the 2017 finals.
What's hard about the fuck your teammates mantra for LeBron is Delonte West.
That is true. That is true. Well, we see how Delonte turned out.
Like he wants fucking to be nothing to do with his teammates.
That is true. Screw could work too. That is true. But Delonte West, I mean, it came back to bite him, dude. Now he's like a beggar in the streets or something.
Oh, he does not look good. Yeah, but we're not talking about. We're just not talking more about Delonte West.
Yeah, he's had his airtime.
We're not doing it.
He's
But
had his airtime.
to close this out, I just want to say, now that I'm thinking about it, the number 10 moment in the Terrance interview, that was electric, dude. I thought that was great.
That was electric, dude.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, and I gotta say, big Drew Brees fan. I love it because as a teammate, I mean, you love to see a guy that's for his other teammates. I mean, that's what you love to see. But Drew Brees and the GOAT convo, come on,
Dude,
now.
I mean, he has the numbers to make the argument, and he has the Super Bowl. But I mean, I tend to agree with you. It's not like he's in my like top 3. Like,
I'd put Peyton Manning over him.
yeah, I'd put Peyton, I'd put Tom, and me personally, I'd put Marino. But I think Breeze is up there for sure. Like
Brees is top 5, top 6 for sure. You have to put Joe Montana is number 2, obviously, but can't forget about him. I mean, you can make an argument Joe Montana is better than Brady. I mean, if you wanted to.
I mean, before Brady's last ring, that was like it was still a debate.
Yeah, but I wanted to really get into the Brady thing, but like, dude, 6 Super Bowls on 6 game-winning drives. We got deterred and we went like another direction, so I kind of forgot about it. But 6
Well, that's
Super
the
Bowls.
thing is like since we had like limited connection quality, I wanted to like try and get through shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But if we could get Terrance on a stable call, you know, and we could break down every issue. I wonder how long he would stay on with us because he's probably not accustomed. He's not accustomed. We could GasCast for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And I will say, and this is another thing about the connection. We can't really have a debate when he's having connection issues because it's going to be back and forth quick, and it's just sometimes you might not hear him, and it would just mess everything up. I want to go on the record to say that Tom Brady's offensive line has not been great over the last 20 years. I want to put that on the record, even though it was said by Terrance. He's had good offensive lines, but he's also had arguably the worst offensive line in the league at least 4 or 5 years in the last 17 or 18 he's been. So I just want that to be on the record. I mean, he's had good offensive lines, but he's had some.
Oh, I actually agree with you. The joke I made about every time he gets touched, it's a 15-yard penalty. That happened because he was getting the shit beat out of him. And in 2008, when the Dolphins won the division, the NFL had enough of it when because Brady goes down in week 1 on a vicious hit, tears his knee up, and is out for the season. And the NFL was down its brand quarterback, you know, and the Patriots were still good that year, but I think with Matt Castle, if I remember right. But won like 11-5 with Matt Castle or something. Maybe that I don't remember. The Dolphins won the division, but I don't remember. But but that goes back to what you said that became like a protection of Brady joke thing because he played, but he was like a savior guy for the NFL who played behind a shitty offensive line.
And he also has probably the quickest. He's probably the quickest decision maker in the history of the NFL from the quarterback position. I mean, this is like a thing that defensive ends talk about all the time in interviews. And they've asked Brady, like on the field, it's like a known thing. Can you hold the ball for another 3 seconds? Like Brady does not, he goes vertical occasionally, but it's so quick. I mean, it's like, you know, curl routes over and over again, just little out routes over. I mean, it just it's like so quick, fast paced. It just nobody
their style of offense and the route progressions they use and the combos and the checks, like you said, with going back to Marcus Smart, probably like if you play in the same system for that many years and you master it, you know, like there's not many quarterbacks you can apply the same context to. One of the ones that you could is actually Joe Montana with the West Coast offense, and he also, since Brady ran a variety of West Coast, they both made extremely like quick decisions because they both mastered their progressions. But yeah.
It's I don't know. I just like people that don't think Brady's the GOAT are just haters. They're just haters. Like Terrance did say he's the GOAT, so he's not a hater. But
yeah, obviously. I'll go to my grave saying Dan Marino would do the same thing.
Whatever. But
I think it'd be better personally.
It's hard to say, but all I know is that just look at the numbers. I mean, the guy is 6 Super Bowls and 9 tries. I mean, come
Marino's
on.
a fucking animal. He had the single season yardage record in the 1980s or something.
He
Like
was a beast.
that's it. Like that's impossible. You know what I mean? Like throwing for a modern day amount of yards in an era where everyone was running smash mouth, run the ball every play. Their quarterbacks sucked. They were like decoys for the most part. And then you have Dan fucking Marino slinging it, dude, all over the fucking yard. That's just
Well, you
revolution.
had I think you had I could be wrong, but I'm taking it back here. Wasn't Dan Fouts of the Chargers in the 80s? He kind of was slinging it around too, wasn't
Oh, he wasn't like Marino wasn't the only, good quarterback who could pass the ball. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that for the most part,
he? Oh
quarterbacks
yeah,
aren't as skilled. You're
for
talking
sure.
about you're talking about a real upper echelon of players that now I don't think people can really imagine it, especially if they're a new NFL fan, because every quarterback, even the cutoff fringe starters, can throw the ball. You know what I mean? They're not like completely inept passers. Like there were quarterbacks that were strong arm guys who just could not do shit. Like,
Yeah, I wish I could have had some more clarification on my question to Terrance about the talent in the NFL. I wasn't inferring that the talent was lacking in the early 2000s. I'm just saying if you look at the NBA, for example, the talent, especially on positions like 6 through 12 on the roster, are so much better today than they were in the early 2000s. Like the guys that are like at the bottom of their roster today would be like 6 men like 20 years ago. So I was just asking, I meant to really just ask him in terms of like just the whole roster, how has the talent increased? Because at quarterback is another one that quarterbacks are a lot better today than they were 15 years ago. If you're talking about the cross the field.
yeah, that I think. I mean, receivers have gotten faster without a doubt, and now you have time. You have like receivers running 4.5s coming from like Boise State, random schools. That's not a thing that used to happen very often. But at the same time, I think with football, it's interesting because you have probably a similar amount of talent athletically, but the priority of positions has changed. Like now, you had 3 down linebackers who were like heavy as hell and couldn't really run, but they were one of the best players in the league. As opposed to now, you'd rather be a safety than a linebacker, especially like there were guys bulking up from their thin frames who would now be a safety, but played middle linebacker. Okay, they bulked up. But now you have guys who are skinny as hell playing outside linebacker who are glorified safeties. So there might be a similar level of talent that just didn't look as fast or as quick because they were playing more run heavy offenses.
Yeah, I mean you've got like outside linebackers now that are like sometimes like 230 pounds,
Yeah.
225 pounds.
And if Michael Irvin, just for an example, played in the spread offense, like if Michael Irvin were on the Chiefs, like like
He was a beast.
exactly, he'd be insane. He played for the Cowboys where it was basically just like run a 9 route every play and eventually we'll throw it instead of handing it to Emmitt Smith. But you're talking about 9 guys trying to defend Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin one-on-one. like now if you put like an offense that throws 50 times a game, spread out like one-on-one island coverage, Michael Irvin would be fucking insane. He'd be like putting up Moss numbers every year. Like,
Yeah, dude. I didn't watch enough Emmitt Smith to make this argument, but I'm going to make it anyway. Emmitt Smith wasn't even that great. He was just behind the greatest offensive line in the history of football. Like, can you imagine if you put prime Adrian Peterson behind the Cowboys offensive line?
yeah, I think there's a level of greatness that comes just with like, obviously he has the most rushing yards because he got so many fucking carries and touches. But at the same time, there is a level of greatness that comes with longevity and being able to touch the ball that many times and get hit by heavy ass people that many times. But like you said, I mean, if you're talking about explosiveness, like great running back, most people would say Adrian Peterson or Eric Dickerson or somebody like that before
Oh,
they say
ED.
Emmitt Smith.
ED was nasty.
Emmitt Smith is like he has the numbers, but if you're talking about watching him, I don't think many people are saying Emmitt Smith is like the best running back.
Well, he didn't have to have the same vision and patience that other running backs did. I mean, he didn't have to wait for holes to open up because he could pick any hole and go. I mean,
Dude, who's better, Chris Johnson or Emmitt Smith?
Chris Johnson.
All right.
Well, if you're talking about when he was healthy, when Chris Johnson was healthy, but if you're talking about if I would take to start my franchise Emmitt Smith or Chris Johnson, knowing Chris Johnson would get injured, I would take Emmitt Smith.
That's reasonable.
But if they were both going to be healthy, I would take Chris Johnson.
I think if you knew Chris Johnson was going to be healthy like his whole career, I think, he'd be up there like with the best of them. Like that's not even like a joke question, because Chris Johnson was that good. Like
he was crazy, dude. Like I remember watching with my dad at Tiebreakers on Sundays. Oh, we just got doxxed, dude. Now they know where we live. They know they can look it up. Sitting on Sundays and watching the Titans game, and I swear to God, every single week, it was we got to stay glued to the Titans game because Chris Johnson's gonna break one, and he broke one every week. Every single week, he broke like a 70-yard touchdown.
And what people missed
was unbelievable.
Were awful as well. Like the Titans were not good. He had the team on his back. And and
their offensive line wasn't great.
Yeah, exactly. They were like they were picking towards the top of the order. I'm pretty sure when they got him, like they were a horrible team, and he became the identity for the Titans.
Yeah, I mean Vince Young was like ass. Like I remember, like he was average. Maybe I'll say average. He wasn't great. He wasn't terrible.
He had expectations that he didn't meet for sure.
And their wide receiving core was horrible. I think that was. I want to say that their number one was Brandon LaFell. Like if that tells you anything, their number one receiver was Brandon LaFell.
LaFell's a monster.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot, dude. He's a beast.
Playing in Cincinnati, and I think he was in New England for a time.
Yeah, for like after he had shit the bed for like half a decade. So I guess that's about it. I mean, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Nah, I mean, I'm ready to wrap it up, dude. I think we're good.
All right. Well, is everybody out there, GasCast, always a great show. You're in for a treat every time we turn on the camera. But no, we appreciate everybody watching. Terrance, thank you again. If you went back and watched this, thank you again for coming on, man. Hopefully we can have you on again. GasCast to the top, baby. GasCast to the top. We're trying to churn out weekly uploads now. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts starting this week. So be on the lookout for that. We'll put out a tweet. I'll put the Twitter in the description. And I guess that's it, everybody. Keep gassing.
Keep gassing.